Now, I've made the decision I want to have a roast for supper tonight, a pot roast. Now, I like to have a nice pot roast, but it's kind of pointless to make a pot roast just for yourself. So, I've invited the neighbors downstairs for supper tonight, a nice pot roast. Now, I want to show you this. Now, I've sterilized it. I know it doesn't look like it, but I've cleaned and sterilized everything I'm using here with bleach and everything. I mean, it's very well cleaned. But this roast is, bless her heart, a gift from my mother. And look at the size of this. This is just the beef portion of this roast, and it's huge. And so I don't want to use all of that in one roast, especially not since I have this roast. Also, this is pork roast. This is pork loin. And I'm going to be cutting a couple of chunks out of this to put into this roast as well. And there's going to be turnip and potatoes and all kinds of good stuff chopped into this roast. It's going to be a nice big roast, to say the least. But for now, I'm just trying to get the meat that I want to use cut off and started thawing without having to thaw this whole thing. I'm almost tempted to let the thing thaw. No, might as well just cut off what I intend to use right now and put the rest back in the freezer, I guess. I'm going to have to use this saw. This is frozen solid, so I'm just hoping that it cuts really good. I'm thinking I may have to run it under water as I'm cutting. The blades, I'm sure, are going to get filled with meat. It's cutting. Trying to use, well, you know, I'm going to have to run it through water. I can feel the resistance. Yes, it is. The teeth are plugging. But maybe I can just rip them off a bit. If I can get it down to the point that I have my, I don't worry about all this. I'll get this stuff out of the way to make it a little easier to clean. Now the countertop is nice and clean as well, so whatever goes over there is going to be good usable stuff. You see, damn counter has nicks in it, so it looks like it's not clean, but it is clean. And I clean with bleach, with everything, so it's regular chlorine bleach, you know, because the main thing is to de-germanize everything. And that roast is so cold, I'm having a hard time with my hand. It's getting numb. What I'm going to do is maybe make myself a pad. Try that. Some paper. And once I get to a certain point, I'll be down below where my miter frame is, and it'll be good because it'll help guide my cut better. Right now it's not going exactly straight, but hey, it's working. It's going straight enough, and it's cutting a good chunk off of there. I tell you, I am feeling the cold right through, even through that paper. This roast is very well frozen. I'm not going to be able to go all the way through with this saw. It's not wide enough, and there's a guide stopper there, and it's supposed to fit into a frame there, a miter frame, but I don't have that miter frame, and I need to go deeper than that, so I don't care. It's going to go flipped over, I guess. This is where the fun comes in, because now I don't have a way to hold it stable this way. And I'm going to have to try and get that as straight as I can through there. And we're back to the cold problem again. That sucker is so cold. And I need more than just that little piece of paper towel that I had. So I'm gonna make a nice thick shield. Now, let's see if I can get this cut straight here. Alright, I can see where it is there. And let's see where it would be here. Okay, so it would be there. I'm just gonna follow this around so I can see it there. Perfect. Okay, now we'll hold that there. And good luck, right? See if I can cut this through. I can get onto my edge there. So I've got a little help holding it. Just take my time. Good firm press down. And see if I can make this cut through now. Freaking thing keeps moving. My whole frame keeps moving on me. Stay still. Really appreciate it. But I will make do what I have to make do with. It's cutting at least, so I can't complain. Wrist is actually getting sore now. You know, the one that's got the missing finger. Ah! The cold is still there, but it's buffered enough by this to not make that a problem anymore. Look at all the nice little meat shavings hamburger that I'm getting out of this. That's gonna go so good in that roast. I'll burn that right on the bottom of the pan with the onions that I'm burning in there too. Little tricks. I'll show you. I'll make the whole thing on film for you. Show you my recipe. I don't care. You can watch me make it, and then maybe you can make it for yourself if you ever want to. If you're like me, a meat eater. I mean, there's ways to make roasts without the use of meat too, and then there are vegetarian meat substitute products that you could, I suppose, make a roast out of. Getting a little bit of a cardio this morning. Not that much though. I mean, I did go up and down the stairs a few times this morning because I had things to do outside as well. And it's pouring down rain out there this morning. Holy shit, is it raining. Alright, there's my freaking framework there. A really nice cut. Okay. My wrist is really getting sore. Let's see. Boy, that's lined right up. I wonder if it'll hold it like that. Just long enough for me to make a little cut through there now. Let's see if I can get a hold on this better so as not to cause my wrist any more freaking pain. Okay, that's going to cut through good. I can hold this freaking thing still, huh? We've got plenty of nice roast shavings out there to use to make my broth with for this stew. Actually, it's a pot roast. I keep calling it a stew because, let's face it, I'm a stew guy. I love stew. Pot roast is good too, though. And it is cutting. I'm happy because this is so hard frozen that if I didn't have this saw to aid in the cutting process, I would have a hard time getting this cut. I would have to thaw the whole thing out so that, oops, I hit my frame. I'd have to thaw the whole thing out just so that I could get a little piece off of it and then go and refreeze the whole thing that I'm not using again. And that's just taking too many chances. You know, you want that meat to stay frozen. Hey, that was cool. Chunker, chunker! A perfect chunk for my roast. Now this is a clean rag. I just had it sitting there. Now, alright. I can now put this back into a clean bag. Which I have right here. But I don't put that straight into a bag. Okay, because you don't want any air to get to that. You want that to be sealed from the air as best as possible. So what I do, I take some saran wrap, put that on there like that, and I give that a good wrap around a few times, even in different directions. You know, that a good wrap around with that saran wrap, so it's very nicely sealed from the air. And remember, my cutting tools and stuff, they're primitive, but they have been through a sterilizing process, trust me. Now, I do like to, once this is wrapped, this is very well wrapped and could go in the freezer as it is, but just to ensure that the wrap does not come loose on that, I like to stick it into a bag, nice clean bag, sealable, and it doesn't matter really the air that's in there, because as you've seen, it doesn't want to zip close, so I'm going to have to do it like this. Don't tell me the bag is broken. The bag is broken. Okay. This will be the last time I use this one, but I'm just going to fold it, and maybe if I have some tape handy, I'll just tape it shut for now. And the next time when I open this bag, it will be tossed in the garbage. There. Make sure I fold the end of my tape there, because I don't have one of those tape dispensers. I don't want to lose the end of my tape. So now I got it sealed. That's frozen, airtight, sealed. Goes back in the freezer. And I have yet. Now this is one piece of roast. I have another piece here. Now the thing is, I'm going from this beef roast to that pork roast, which means I have to go through the sterilizing process with my equipment once again here. Get that hot water running. And this water is heavy with bleach right here, and it's freshly put in there. It's not hot, it doesn't have to be hot. My rinse water has to be hot though. And I just let that get as hot as it's gonna get. Meanwhile, washing the whole thing down with this bleach water. It also has some soaps and detergents in it as well. So it's not just the bleach that's in there. Okay, I'll give that a good wash down. Yeah, water's getting nice and hot now. So, give that a good wash down like that. Set this right up here for a few minutes. Get my blade done too. Going from that beef roast to the pork roast. I don't want to transfer anything from one to the other. You know, so I'm cleaning everything that I use before I start the next process. Okay, now it's another story for this. This is immediately usable, so I can mix the two right there. This is all fine. This is all going to be immediately used. But anything that might be stored away can't come in contact with that, you know. And there's going to be plenty stored away after this. There's no way I can use all of that here. So now that's all cleaned and ready to go, I can cut my chunks off of my pork loin. Now this end is sealed, this end is open. Go ahead and cut my chunks right off that open end there. And I want to make them, see, this is the cool thing about getting a loin like this. You can make these cuts as thick or as thin as you want them, you know. Make your own decision. I like to use this as a guide for my size here. It's exactly an inch from the 0 or 90 degree cut to the 22.5 cut. So it's 1 inch. So that gives me a perfect setting. I get my 1 inch roast cut there. And the really cool thing here is that I'm going to actually put 2 of these into this roast. 2-inch loin roasts. Fortunately, this one fits right down into the cutting frame, so it's just like that. It's done, and I've got that piece. And now I just slide this automatically over to my gauge. Start that cut. This is much better than the beef roast. It fits right into whoops, my box frame, box cutter frame. There we go. Now, nice. See, nice, perfectly 1 inch thick cut piece of pork here. Now this one was for some reason broke off the wrong way. Looks like I cut. Yeah, I remember now. I didn't use this to cut it that time. I used another method. I didn't have this cleaned properly, so I tried to use another knife and just pound it through, and it broke through, so it came off. But that's okay. That's good right there. I might put one more. I'm putting one more piece of pork. One more 1 inch thick, because I was just thinking about that. There's going to be 3 people eating off this. Now this piece of beef here can be cut easily into 3 pieces. But that right there, that's good for 1 person. That's good for 1 smaller person, which is, you know, her daughter is smaller, younger. So now I've been playing with those meats. I'm going to have to wash my hand before I put back on that frozen loin there. Now remember, this frozen loin here is wrapped too. It's got wrapped with, this one is pre-wrapped at the store with waxed paper, a waxed paper plastic type of wrap, but it works. Now coming to my last piece for adult size pork loin roast. Pork loin roast. That's almost a tongue twister. If you say it too fast 3 times, you probably trip yourself. There we go. So now I've got my 3 pieces of pork roast and some nice little grind here to make my some nice little grind here that I can make my broth with, and I'll show you all that there. Show you all that. I'm not ready to get this really started yet. I am going to, however, get I guess I will be getting this started a little bit. I've got to get the meat seared and get the broth going and get all that ready, because it's only 9 in the morning. But a good roast, you let that roast all day, nice and slow. You know, everything's pre-seared and cooked, started at least there at first, and then you let that go all day. Now, I'm going to wrap this again in my plastic wrap here. Put this over there where I know it's clean. That there I didn't wash yet, so I don't want to put nothing on there. Well, it's washed, but I mean not just since before I started cooking here. And I like to make sure that all areas that I use while handling fresh meats and stuff are clean. So, get this wrapped up and back in the freezer this one goes. Now I can take this, pull off some of the meat shred that's left in there. That goes good in the broth, remember, okay. Now, take and rinse this off a little bit first. This I'm not going to mess with right now. I'm just going to get it rinsed. I'm all done with it. So I'm just going to rinse out any chunk of meat that's in there. And maybe hit it real quick with the bleach water. And then just let it sit here. You know, that way, now I can just rain this bleach water down on it. And I get this, you know, just kind of dampened with bleach water. That way it's going to wash everything out. And I see some, okay, I see a little chunk of meat there. Needs to come out, so I can take my blade and push that right through the framework and then hose it off. Make sure there's no more. Nope, that's it. That's all of it that was there. Now I can wash my blade off a bit here with the bleach water. And the blade is washed. It's clean completely. I'm just going to let it sit there to dry. Rain a little bit more bleach water down on my framework. I'm going to let that sit there. This is my next toy to play with. Alright. Now, believe it or not, the water that is in this, I used actually last night to sear blacken some hot dogs. Okay, then it was kept in the refrigerator overnight. Alright, and this water is just what I used to clean the pan at the end. And I don't know if you can see, but you see inside there the broth that started just from that. Now, as I was cooking that, when I put that water in there, I also put some crushed red pepper in there. I think I put close to a teaspoon in there, and that right there is what I'm going to be starting my broth with over here. Now, before I do this, I would really like to clean a little bit here. Okay, I don't need this. I'm going to take my bleach water. Oh, I made a little mess when I did that. Not bad, it's mostly just water, so. That broth has been sitting overnight in the refrigerator, so it's well marinated. That burned hot dog with the crushed red pepper, very well marinated in there now. Okay, now I know I've got a good clean surface to work with here, and I feel good about going ahead to get started with my cooking. Now I want to boil this out. Actually, that right there, that water with the soup that it is there, I want to boil the water out of it and condense it down to the oils and essentials that are left in it. I don't want to burn that anymore right away. I am going to burn it a little bit later when I put some onion in it. But at first, I just want to boil that down. And I am going to put onion in there. See this big onion? That's nothing. There's going to be 2, maybe 3 of these in this. When I'm finished, it's going to be a big roast. Okay, looking for the knife that I prefer to work with my onions with. Put my garbage over here so I don't have to leave the screen to do the work. Get that cut off. You notice I'm just leaving that there. I'm going to be putting that in there soon there. That's all pre-cleaned counter and everything. That's all good usable meats there. And I'll show you how I'm going to use those meats. Won't be long here. I'll be using those grindings so you can see what I do with those. Now I like to use the right tool for the job. Especially when you're talking about knives. Now this is all going to be used, but not right away. Different sections at different times. Okay, this half of this onion right here is going to be blackened, little tiny chunks of onion blackened, which is what I'm getting that ready for now, to blacken my onions in. My knives are getting dull. We'll have to sharpen these jokers. There ain't nothing worse than a dull knife. It's dangerous, man. They don't cut properly, they slip, and that's how you get hurt. Okay, so these will go in there at the same time that this meat here does. Okay, let me get this meat. This grinding is all put into place over here. I'll get as much of it as I can gather up. This whole counter was cleaned. I should have shown that, I guess, before I started, but this whole countertop was very well cleaned with bleach and detergent water prior to me starting this project, in case you're wondering. See these little grindings here? That's going to be so good to use in this roast. That's starting to boil. Now, here comes the fun part. I want to make sure I have the beef broth. That's boiling hard there, yeah. Now, I want a tablespoon to start out with of this beef broth. Trust me. Good heaping tablespoon put in there in that boiling water. I'm going to boil that water right out. So I'm going to use more of this. So this is going to be put handy close. There are going to be other seasons as well, and I'll take those down. There's garlic and herb, onion and herb, salt and pepper, of course. Don't worry about that. Just let her boil. There's going to be a little hint of chili powder, season all, some, not seasoned salt because I'm putting season all, but here it is, the French onion, the French Vidalia onion. That will all go in there, and a little bit, well, the crushed red pepper is already in it. I almost forgot that. Okay, I put that in last night. So this is going good. It's already smelling delicious, and I haven't even done anything to it. Okay, I need to have something like this to just gently stir and make sure that everything stays moving in there. My purpose is being served very well here. You see all the water evaporating out of that. I'm going to be actually putting more water in later after I pre-burn my onions and blacken the meat, searing all edges. Then I'll be putting more water and adding onions and other stuff like that to it. That's when all the other seasons go in. But right now, this is what we're working with. feel like my nose wants to run, so I'm just going to go ahead and blow it. Get it over with. Now, oh yeah, that's smelling so good too. Okay. I gotta let those go down there a bit before I put the onions in there. I want a little bit of water left in there before I throw the onions in, but not much. No, not much. I want just a little bit. And there's a lot there, so that's got to boil for a while. You know what? I'm not going to make you watch me sit here and watch water boil. So I'll just get back to you when it's time to do the next step.